Well, these parts just fell out of my leather sewing machine, so I guess that means it's time to get to work. Today I'll be replacing one bearing in my Chinese cobbler machine. I ordered these off the internet, link in the description below, but be warned they're kind of expensive because the company has the market cornered. So the bearing I'm replacing is one of the two racer bearings inside. Not sure which one it is yet. So we'll get the wheel off here, remove the one little nut, and this slides right off. Racer bearings are the ones that ride inside of these tracks. And hopefully you can see that I've still got a couple other pieces of that broken bearing floating around in here. I'll get those out of the way. So obviously it was the inner of the two bearings, and if I look on the machine right here, you'll be able to see that's absolutely the bearing that's been destroyed. Let's go ahead and get that out of there, get this repair done. I'll need to remove this entire part of the arm here to get that bearing released, and that's a simple process of removing these two nuts and the two washers. And with both of those out of the way, being careful not to lose any of my parts here, this bar slides right out, and you can see very dirty, kind of oily, but that's the bearing that's going to need to be replaced. So what I'm going to do is I will put this in a vise and just use a punch from the other side here and punch the old bearing out. That sounds pretty easy. We'll see how well it works. With just a little effort, the old bearing popped out of the shaft there. So that's good, kind of mangled. No worries, we're not using it again anyhow. And while I've got this out, I'll go ahead and clean this up. But I want you to take a look at this here. This is typical craftsmanship that I would expect on a machine like this. You can tell the hole that was drilled through this shaft isn't even centered. But we will make do with what we've got and get it cleaned up anyway. With just a little sanding and a little buffing, polishing, this shaft turned out pretty good, pretty clean now. I'll be able to re-oil it and get it back in place. But of course, I've got to get this new bearing put into place, and that's just a simple matter of lining it up in the hole that it came out of. I'll put it in a vise, squeeze it together. It ought to work flawlessly. The bearing is back in that shaft, as you can see, and I just want to remind you to keep track of which side the bearing came out of. It'll only work one way, so just take note of that. And now getting it back in place is just as easy as taking it out. We just slip it right back in, and then we will replace our two little nuts right there. Make sure everything's lined up with our timing, just like when we took it apart, and everything should work. Looks like we're back in business. I truly hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, subscribe, like, comment. There's a place for all that down below, and maybe, just maybe, I'll see you on the next video. If you enjoy videos about the randomness of our amazing world, consider clicking on the globe to subscribe, or maybe checking out one of the other videos right here.